Conversations with Deborah on Monday, February 29th. I have my friend here, Yoshua Bay, and we've been in a dialogue, a conversation that I felt would be great if we took it to a public platform and allowed others to hear what we're talking about and give their opinion. Now, everybody believes what they believe. I'm not here to change anybody's mindset. I am here to press upon you that your beliefs may be holding you back from the reality that we live under. Our phone call originated with Yeshua calling me on Skype, and he asked me, what did I think about the Trump campaign? And of course, I gave him my opinion. And some people would agree with me and some won't, and that's fine. If you're here listening to this session of Conversations with Deborah, I invite you to join us on the panel and discuss this matter with us. I don't know how long we're going to run this hangout on air, but these are moments that I said I was going to start exercising my right to take publicly and have other people participate in the conversation, because I truly believe that when more people hear what we're talking about, they may be thinking it, but they're not saying anything about it because they don't want to be ostracized by the public and say, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, oh, you're crazy, you don't know what you're talking about. Because so many of us are being brainwashed by the public entertainment system that we watch every time we turn our TV on, every time we turn our radio on, every time we listen to a song. These are mind programming venues that many of us operate in every day, all day, and don't even know that we're being brainwashed to believe what the controllers want us to believe. Now, in response to Yeshua's question, what do I think of Donald Trump's campaign? And I told him I believe that it is a distraction from what they truly are wanting to do. That Donald Trump is either being paid or there's some kind of favor in there for him to do what he do. Because no intelligent, I say intelligent, human being in this country would be so blatantly sexist, racist, and whatever else you want to put a title to, that would be so, the word I'm looking for, a word other than offending to another human being. The understanding that I have from the time I've been taught about law and our government and everything was, we are supposed to be a government that is by the people, for the people. Well, forget that. It don't exist no more. It hasn't existed since 1963. And to bring you up to speed in looking back over history, that I can go back as far as 1914 and connect the dots and say, we've been controlled for a very long time. Okay? We have fell into a system that is that mirrors, without the action, the Aryan Nazi propaganda and mindset. But I guarantee you, they got things going on in this country that makes me wonder, did they bring that agenda from Germany to America? Because they got plans for us. They have an agenda, and we are the agenda. The African American race has been the agenda for a very long time. So with that said, I want to give Yeshua an opportunity to introduce himself, what he do, and how he is connecting with me in regard to these public policies and issues that we live under, and his opinion about the Donald Trump campaign, because you got my side of it. I believe he's just a paid distraction from seeing what they really have planned, and then I'm gonna come back and tell you what I believe they have planned. But I want him to inject his opinion and his beliefs on the situation. Now, with that said, we are giving our opinion and what we believe in. That does not mean you have to believe what we believe. Just consider what it is that we say so you can broaden your aspects of what you're believing. Because, you know, we don't know what we don't know. And when you learn more, you do better. So with that, Joshua, would you please step up and say hello to our listeners? If there's none on now, they will possibly listen to it in the near future in the recording. So I'm gonna give it to you for a minute while I eat my lunch.
Hello and good afternoon. It's 1:08 p.m. today, Monday, February the 29th of 2016. And my name is Yashua. I'll just leave it at that. Um, what I had asked Deborah about today had to do with the elections and how, you know, whether or not Trump will succeed. There's a lot of factors and variables that I'm not aware of, and I wouldn't be able to give you a good, you know, accurate indication of whether or not he will prevail. But it seems that from what I'm getting from the media, which is not a very good source of information anymore, it just seems that Donald may very well be the nominee. But then I'm hearing that there are other forces at work that want to, you know, not make that happen. So this is a close run. I'm surprised with all the talent we have in this country that we don't have a better choice of candidates. That's really sad. Ben Carson, unfortunately, he's, you know, pretty much, you know, he's pretty much running last, and everyone else is a little bit further ahead. It's not really much of a choice, really. And it's just a matter of choosing how much pain you want to feel for the next 4 years. You know, they say the lesser of evils. Well, it's more like, you know, maybe it's a continuation of Obama. I don't know, but I could probably understand why some people don't even vote, because of there not really being much of a choice. But from, you know, just my own opinion, it seems that I think Donald may have a chance. But if those who are working behind the scenes have anything to do with the outcome, then obviously they're going to pick whoever they want, and that could very well be Hillary. And I could say a lot about that, but I won't go into it. So that's pretty much my take on it.
Well, and I apologize. Yes, is it Yeshua?
Yeah, sure.
I apologize for pronouncing it wrong. You have one of those special names, you know. It's not always easy for one to speak another dialect of a chosen name. But you know, I commend you on stepping out and choosing a name that you, and not your birth parents, but you chose to have for yourself. Back in the 80s, I chose to look at that aspect, and out of respect for my mom, I didn't do it. She asked me not to do it. But I was going down that same road because I understood the significance of having a name that you choose when you become of legal age to do so. Speaking on the political aspects of things, I believe, and only because have I come to this conclusion of doing the research on our last, I'd say, 8 presidents, which spans more than 50 years, which is, I'm 61. I looked at the aspect of every president that has been in office since my birth. And I've come to understand in looking at their background and their political connection, and I mean, just things that are publicly known. If you go looking for it, these presidents were chosen. They were chosen by an elect party. They were groomed from birth to be in the position they are choosing to be in. That the political arena, as we know it, has been taught to us, is not really what it seems to be. Now, I stand to be corrected with the next election, but I can guarantee you that Hillary Clinton will, I stand to say, I guarantee Hillary Clinton will be our next president. And the reason why I come to that conclusion is because the good old boys of this country, the controllers of this country, they have to be able to put in place a black president and a female president in order for them to have some backbone to stand on and say, well, we gave you a black president, look what he did. Well, we gave you a female president, look what she did. So they can get back to the agenda that they really want. And that is to have complete control of the planet. That is so they can control each and every one of us. That is so they can run their agendas of depopulating the society as a whole on the planet. I'm not just talking about America. This is bigger than America. It is so much bigger than America. When Satan fell from heaven, I mean, when he got kicked out, he didn't get kicked out to America. He got kicked to the earth. So his agenda is on the planet. And with all the things that he's doing right now to mankind, which is who he's jealous of, because we are God's greatest creation, is being done worldwide. I just watched a documentary last night. I had never seen it before, but it was alarming. It was an eye-opening and alarming. And because the Spirit works in certain ways in my life, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm speaking for me. The Holy Spirit only gives me what he believes I can handle. Now, I was on a mission of researching the genetically modified foods in this country compared to other countries. Other countries have boycotted and kept out Monsanto, but we in this country, we welcome it. I don't know why, I can't understand it, but that is what it is. By doing so and looking at what I can eat that's healthy for my body, because right now the food that's in the grocery stores has no nutritional value, or if it does, it has very, very little. It's 1% of 1% of the nutritional value that was around when my mother and my grandmother was buying in stores. We got no nutritional value in what we purchase at the grocery store. So you have to look for alternative ways to buy food that will heal your body and strengthen you. I go to farmer markets, but at the same time, there is nothing saying that you have to walk by faith, because there's nothing saying that that farmer's crop hasn't been contaminated without his knowledge. So you know, it's like a damn it you do and damn it you don't. I do what I can to be healthy, because unfortunately I wasn't knowledgeable in my youth to understand what was going on with the foods. I remember when the government was taking over the farms. I do remember that back in the early 80s. I remember the farmers being up in arms over what the government was doing to them. They were making them only plant certain crops. And I apologize about the noise in the background. My grandbaby's here in my house, and all of you know I work from home. So that is one of the distractions that I encounter when I do these public platforms. I think they're going to get him settled down now, and we won't hear the screaming. He wants some attention. But not to get away from where I was, I just wanted to apologize for the background noise. Is this? There are so many agendas that's going on this planet, and it's not just about America. We got to get out of our head and thinking that we are the greatest country and it's only about America. This is a global problem. Every aspect of your life that is a crisis, there's a greater crisis similar or if not the same throughout the globe. If you don't have enough money, believe me, there are people living on much less than you do in this world. If you don't have enough food, there are people that are starving to death on this planet. But what the documentary last night I saw was so alarming. They are taking truckloads of fruits and vegetables to a landfill simply because of cosmetics. It makes no sense. Makes no sense. Because those cosmetically distorted foods could be given to a whole host of other venues that people would be glad to get. There was a gentleman in the video that was saying he was in the middle of one of the truckloads of bananas. I mean, he was up to his neck in bananas all around him. And this group of bananas was headed for the landfill. And this was in Mexico. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, they looked fine to me. But he said it was earmarked to go to the landfill because it was cosmetically, there's a guideline that it must look like to go in the grocery store. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, in my opinion, they're not following that guideline because I done see some messed up bananas in Kroger's. I'm going to name the store I shop at, Kroger's. And those bananas I was seeing in the documentary look better than the bananas I've been seeing in Kroger's. And that's simply because by the time they get it from where it grows to the grocery store, you got a 3-day shelf life and then it's spoiled. It's sad, but it's true. I know those that are out there know what I'm talking about. If you go to the grocery store and you put it in your kitchen and you don't feel like eating it right now, by the time, if you go more than 3 days to go back and eat it, if it don't have a whole host of preservatives in it and chemicals, it's spoiled. Stuff you put in the refrigerator now. We have the best type of refrigerators made in history. And food is spoiling in them faster than it ever did when my grandmother had a refrigerator that was kept cold by ice. What's wrong with that picture? It's the controllers that are wanting us to be dummied down and poisoned to feed their agenda. Some people say, oh, they just want to kill us. They don't want to kill you, but they want you sick because they need you to be sick. Because when you're sick, you have no strength for representing and protecting yourself or standing your ground. They want you dummied down so you don't know how to do that. These are the things that are going on in this country that until it happened to you, even though it is happening to you, but till you can really see it happening to you, you don't really see the problem. But I'm here to tell you, and I'm not sure who said it, but they said, when you let it happen to someone else, the next thing you need to ask yourself is, how long will it be before it happened to me? We got to stand up for each other. Excuse me. We got to stand up for each other and we have to turn things around. Now, with that said, so many people talk about the problem, but don't give solutions like you can do that. Well, I'm going to share some solutions with you. Joshua has a legal battle going on. He's had going on for several years. I'm not going to tell you about it. If he chooses to tell you about it, I will open the floor for him. But this is where he has been looking for support in any way possible. If it's just being there to assure him, strengthen him, and help him understand, keep fighting, because he's not fighting just for himself. He's fighting for all of us. Yeshua, is there anything you want to share about your battle?
Um, well, basically,
And I don't mean to put you on the hot seat. If it's something that you feel you can't talk about, that's fine. I understand. Because there's some litigations that don't need to be divulged until it's settled. And I truly understand that.
no, I'll just kind of give you a my perspective on just justice, in general, as it affects everyone in this country. I mean, for the most part, those who are less privileged or those who are not part of the privileged class. Um, I've come from my own experience, I've come to learn that the legal process, the legal system is very political. Very little justice is who you know. Um, what I find questionable is the fact that whenever judges are appointed to their high positions, let's, as an example, someone who was once an attorney becomes a U.S. federal judge. Well, I think the layperson is not aware that the judge does not stop becoming an attorney. They actually still an attorney, but now they're wearing a black robe. And how would I say that? Because every year they have to renew the admission to practice law. And say, I'm speaking for New York State, they basically they admitted to practice through one of the departments in the appellate division. And so when they become a federal judge, they don't relinquish that affiliation or association. They still are members. In fact, over the years, they have basically made friends, associates, and what have you. So naturally, how impartial could that attorney be, being a judge in a federal court when certain issues go before them? Many of these judges do have personal investments in certain stocks, annuities, and what have you. And of course, they do have a process to identify that if anyone happens to have any type of affiliation, that they would have to recuse themselves, things of that nature. But it's much more profound, much more deeper than that. And I could just say that I think whenever an attorney becomes a judge, they should sever their ties with the bar. They should not be affiliated with it. But they have a system that's set up where it seems that the bar is inextricably integrated into their legal process, and nowhere in the Constitution of the state or the U.S. Constitution that it even permits such private organization to have such a have such penetration in the system, but they do. And I think the people need to start to wake up and become very vigilant and start to become that that oversight to ensure that the rule of law is being followed. But that's it's a whole different battle. I would recommend people to look into GiveMeLiberty.org, We the People, headed by Robert Schultz and others. It's actually now a coalition. There are other organizations that are affiliated with that coalition, and you can learn a lot from that. That's basically.
Well, thank you for that input. And I know you're right about the legality of a lawyer becoming a judge. Excuse me. They do have to do the continuing education, as in all fields now, in order to maintain their law license. But when they get appointed to the bench, as long as they stay a legitimized lawyer, they can maintain that bench unless voted off.
Yeah, I just also wanted to add too was that is that I think that it's unfortunate that attorneys are beholden to their bar certification or their admission to practice, because they're really restricted in how far they can really represent their client.
Agree. I agree. I agree.
Anytime a judge can profoundly influence their career, because they could call a judge and say, listen, we have a problem here, and they do that. They have behind closed door meetings and what have you. Somebody's not falling in line and not going along with the pack, so they have ways to disbar attorneys and to make it a crime if they try to go against that.
And you're right about that. But see, this is where we as a people, and this is all people, all walks of life, they're not lawyers. They don't understand. They go to lawyers because they don't understand the law.
Mm-hmm.
And what the problem is, and this is not just in the legal field, but it's in every field.
Mm-hmm.
You are beholden to the field you are operating in. If you become a doctor, you're obligated to protocol as a doctor to the pharmaceutical companies, not your patients. If you become a lawyer, you're a servant of the court. They represent you to the best of their ability, but if they violate their protocol as a servant of the court, they're debarred. They lose their law license. So they're always living in fear of giving you right representation. That's why plea bargaining came on the table, and it's real big in this country. And they automatically plead for you to be guilty, whether you're guilty or not. That's why a person that stands their ground and goes all the way. Yes, you are threatened with, well, if you lose, it's going to be worse. They'll give you the max and all of that kind of stuff. But if you stand your ground, now your lawyer's not doing his job advising his client.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of lawyers won't tell you that that's what's happening to them.
Yep.
They get them in the good old boy network and say, look, talk to your client, tell them to take the plea.
Exactly.
Because if you want to stand your ground, the only choice you have is to fire that lawyer and hire another one. But you're going to have the same problem with the next lawyer and the next lawyer and the next lawyer, because they are not obligated to you, whether you pay them or not.
And sometimes
what they're obligated to is the court.
Also, what you would that you should take into account is that some people who's aware of that fact, they would, if they can afford it, because of course if you're indigent or you just low income, then you're pretty much out of luck. But when people can afford it, they will get an attorney from outside of that jurisdiction who would come in and who would put in a motion for advice or what have you to appear for whatever that occasion would be. So that
now, if you know what, you're right about that, but this is the problem with that. If you can find an attorney out of the network of your city to represent you, 9 times out of 10 they won't take your case because they can't navigate the process. Every state has its own process of filing paperwork and timetables and things like that.
That's mainly in state court. But see, you're talking about state level, a process. But when it comes to federal court, there's uniformity there.
Exactly. But this is, and you're absolutely right about that. Once you get past state level, there's county level, then there's state level, then you go to federal level. Once you get to federal level, you usually have a lawyer that is a little more abreast on how to represent you, but they still come, and they usually are the best lawyers, the ones that navigate the federal law system on the federal level. They are the civil rights lawyers. They are the lawyers that help shape and mold the laws in this country, and they understand it. You got a better chance with them. But it's still, they are servants of the court. There's a protocol to follow. And most lawyers, yourself, Yeshua, do not understand the UCC code within the legal system. That's why those that understand that UCC code choose to operate and represent themselves, because you usually don't get no pass. The lawyers are so dummy down about it, or they incriminate themselves by trying to exercise their position, that they basically dismiss the case. So you haven't won anything, but you haven't lost anything. And if your need to win is greater than your need to dismiss, you push the handle with them. And then they're required by law to deal with you in the manner in which you choose to do it. This is something that everybody, and I mean everybody, needs to learn. Is what is your rights under the UCC code? That's a I'm trying to think of the name of it. You can Google it though. UCC code, which it gives you a breakdown. There's some very good videos inside of YouTube that will help you understand what I'm referring to. And it's maritime law. In our courts are set up and operate under maritime law. We don't even have a hangout big enough for me to break it down for you. But basically, it takes you as a straw person and prosecute the straw person, but they put you in prison for it. You are flesh and blood. You are a spiritual being having a human experience, and this system treats you like a piece of property. And until you can make the division within their system that you are a human being, you are not a corporation, you are not a piece of their property, you are subject to their rules and laws and everything else. We have rights, we have God-given rights that no man can take away from you. But if you don't know it and you don't exercise it, you get subject to what is the protocol. There's so many problems going on in this world that we need to address. And my hope is to be able to get enough people that will formulate a tribe of people that we come on here and discuss what we know on the Conversations of Deborah show, because that's my only venue to get it out there to people that there's a problem in the world and we need to fix it. But then at the same time, you have to ask yourself, are you willing to fix that problem? Which means not only being supported, but supporters in a new way of living your life, a new mindset of thinking. We are so divided, and you can't help it. It's not your fault. And that's the truth. We as a people are so divided that we fighting with each other. And because of our fighting with each other, we can't see what the controllers are doing to both of us. It's a black and white issue. It's a sexist issue. It's a money issue. It's all kind of issues, when in reality, we all have abundant life waiting for us to just pick it up and start living it. And when we do that, we stop those that are in control, that are doing these things to us. We stop them in their tracks, because now you know what you need to know, and they can't take that away from you. They can lock you up. They can control when you go to the bathroom, when you take a shower, what you read, what you see on TV. They can do all these things to you, but the one thing they can't take away from you is your mind. Your right to choose, your mental faculties. Nobody can take that away from you. And that should have precedence over everything else. Because as long as you can think for yourself, and you take the time to learn what you need to be thinking about and know, and who can stop you? You know, they don't say those parables for no reason at all. They say, when God is with you, who can be against you? And that's the truth. When you know what you need to know, who can take it away from you? So it's just a matter of taking responsibility for the the life that you've been given and do better with it for others, because technically it's not even our life. You know, God has shared some very spiritual experiences with me, and only recently have I begun to recognize he's working big time in my life. And one of them one of the lessons he just taught me was our lives are not ours. We are bits and pieces from God, of God, to have a human experience on this planet. And when our journey is over, we go back, we shed the soul that we walk in, and our spirit goes back to God to enhance his experience of what it is to be his greatest creation. I don't know if you can understand what I just said, because it's so, when it came to me, it clicked so well. But it is so far from the teachings that we have in the churches. But if you just think about it for a minute, where did you come from? So many people ask, where did I come from? Why am I here? Where am I going? Well, the first thing you got to realize is you're on a mission. Each and every one of us are on a mission. And we designed with God before we got here. And he said, okay, I'm going to send you to have this life experience, so you can bring those feelings and that knowledge back to me, so I can know what I can do about the world that I send you in. And this is only one of many worlds that is. And I know some people think, oh, she's crazy. No, I'm not. I know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's only for me to believe. Nobody else has to believe that. But I'm telling you, we are not the only ones. God didn't stop with us. He's created more other universes. He's created, and you think this the only universe he put mankind on, or a species on that he can have a relationship with? No. That is what has been, that's what was taught to me. I don't believe it. I used to believe it because that's what was taught to me. But when I realized that everything I knew up to a certain point was what someone else believed, I began to formulate my own beliefs. I began to question who wrote the Bible. And what I come to learn out of that journey was the Bible is spiritually inspired. It is a tool for us to use to learn how to live in this walk of life. But it's watered down. It is watered down tremendously because of man-made circumstances like copyright infringement and, one church being separate from another church, and we all praying to the same God. We just got different titles. There's one creator, and the creator is fixing the circumstances that we go through. And we all go back to that one creator, no matter whether you were Protestant, Catholic, Lutheran, AME, whatever you were. We all go back to the same place we came from. It's rather hard to try to help you understand if you haven't experienced it. There's so many people standing up in the pulpit that is teaching about God that does not have a spiritual connection to God. They haven't been chosen. They chose to be. I call it prostituting, the word of God. Because in reality, and it's crazy, but in reality, if you have a love for your creator, money has nothing to do with it. But there's so many mega churches that are in the billions of dollars. And then I'd be the first to say nothing wrong with making money. Nothing's wrong with making money. I like making money too. But when you are in a position to change the world and you have the finances to do so, and you do nothing, it's all about you, you're not in the right place. Your heart's not in it. Your wallet's in it, not your heart. There's no way I could have $1 billion and know that there is people homeless and I don't do something about it. To know that people are hungry and I don't use my money to do something about it. Because you can only have so much. You can have a mansion, but you can only live in one room. So who are you trying to impress? You don't need it anyway. It's all vanity. And in the end, what's so funny, so comical, and God showed me this, in the end, it doesn't matter how much you acquire in this life. It's only important to you, and you leave it for someone else to have. And if it's not important to them too, guess what? It's gone. You can't take it with you. What changes did you do with while you were here that you didn't do because you were too busy acquiring material wealth? I don't knock material wealth. I'm just simply saying you cannot bypass the circumstances of the lesser and live an abundant life that you won't be accountable for. God wants us all to live an abundant life, but sometimes we have to reach down and pull up those that can't or are not. We have to hold up our brothers and sisters in Christ. We have to support them in their crises, in their missions. This is where you change the world. You know, the world you live in, and you want to be, I'm not going to say the book of life because I don't believe any of us truly die. Okay? I know the teachings that have been taught, but I think it's bigger than that. But, you know, you want to face your creator with not with a blemished soul, spirit, but with one unblemished. Because you chose not to do something that was for someone else. When your life ain't yours anyway, you know, your life is God's. If we all live like we're supposed to, on the basis of what he set down, he said, put no other God before him. So we got to love him first. And then we got to love ourselves, because it is a fact. Hurt people hurt people. If you're hurt and you're not loving self, then guess what? You turn around and hurt somebody else. Because with some people, the pain is so deep, they go out and murder. Sometimes we don't have enough love for ourselves that spirits get in us and make us do things to other people that is you can't fix it. So, you know, those are some of the things I ponder, and I've been on both ends of the stick. I done been on the wealth side where, you know, I lived in an 18-room house and I had 6 cars in the driveway and money was just flowing crazy to me and I was miserable. I had tax problems out the butt. I lived in fear of everybody around me because I didn't know if they were there for me or the money. I mean, I could go down the road of a lot of things I went through in my younger years. God was good to me, but I didn't show him I appreciated by doing with it what I was supposed to do with it. He gave me an abundance. I mean, my life has been, if I died tomorrow, I have no regrets. I done did it all and some for where I've come from. And I've been homeless. I've been hungry and homeless. I know what that feels like. I made poor choices, and I traveled so much that one time I came back home where I'm from Texas, and I had no place to live. So I had to ask my relatives to let me stay with them for a while until I could find, not that I couldn't acquire an apartment or a house, but I had to find one first. But I either could live with one of my relatives or I could live in a hotel. And a hotel was going to take away from me financially. So I wanted to live with a relative that would allow me to keep my money to either buy a piece of property or, rent a nice condo. Well, I ended up living with my brother. Oh, that's another story that it never happened again in life, and I can guarantee you that. But it's funny how I know what it feels like to have 3 small children and no place to live. That happened to me. And I swore to myself it would never happen again. And that made me become the lesson in that situation. I became more of a stable person. I was dragging my children around like a suitcase and living from, place to place to place in hotels and everything. And they were small. They should have been stable and going to school, making friends. And I'm dragging them right along, living my life, making money and, loving every minute I'm doing and dragging them around with no regret for them. But I learned out of that lesson. I definitely learned out of that lesson. Don't ever do that again. Because when kids look you in the face and say, Mom, where are we going to sleep tonight? And you don't know, that hurts. Because as parents, we want to protect our children. That stuff hurts. But let's get back on topic of what we started with, the political arena. And Donald Trump's, I don't even know what to call it. I'm going to be honest. I don't know what to call what Donald Trump is doing. The numbers are, I tend to say this. The numbers, I believe, are inflated and fabricated. That's my opinion. I cannot believe that the people of America is actually holding these numbers up to support this man. He's a joke. He was a joke when he was doing his own show. He had so much ego, it was pathetic. And now he's running for president. Donald Trump, you need to go sit down somewhere and comb your hair. That's how I feel. The man is sad. But I'm going to tell you something. There are those that just, for whatever reason, they are who they are. I remember back in the early 70s, Governor Wallace was a Ku Klux Klan loving, hating nigger people. Okay, he didn't have no qualms, and he went up against President London about, I think it was President London. Who was it? Who was the president before him? Nixon was in office when Governor Wallace was doing what he was doing. I had the names mixed up, but if y'all look at history, you know what I'm talking about. Did God teach that man a lesson? He was a very racial man. He was racist toward the African American. And it was during the time that they were unsegregating the schools. And the first black children that went in Alabama went to a all-white school. Wallace was the governor of that state. I think it was Alabama or Mississippi, something like that. But I can't remember specifically because I'm 61 and I've had a heart attack and things just don't ring as well as they used to. But if you look up the history when Governor Wallace, what state he was, and the first place that African Americans were going to unsegregated school, you'll see what I'm talking about. Wallace was just like, what's the man running now? I can't even think. Trump. He had an attitude that would just make you cringe. And you would wonder, why would this man have so much hate? This is just about educating all people, not just some people. They didn't want schools unsegregated. And the president had to have a talk with him and come back and say, now look, Wallace, You know, we got these circumstances that things have to change. But he was determined to make his state not change. And well, somebody ended up shooting the man and putting him in a wheelchair. You know, when I say God got a way of fixing things for us, you don't know how he gonna fix it. You don't know what he gonna do. That's why you better be careful who you mess with. Because if you dig a hole for somebody, you might need to dig two, because one of them might be for you. Just what? Are you laughing at me, baby? Things is crazy in the world. So, Yeshua, who do you think is going to be president? And I'm going to tell you who I believe is going to be president and why.
I think that, well, before I even answer that, let me just play with these other issues first. You have someone who is talking about finding out who's really behind the 9/11, because you have the 9/11 truthers. That's a very big, hot issue. You have, you know, the issues regarding the vets coming home. You know, you have issues regarding why is our economy, you know, is in a downswing, and he points out that the companies leaving the United States going to these foreign countries, and I don't see these other candidates talking about that, and I think that's what got the people riled up, because they really, you know, like what they're hearing. You know, he's talking about, you know, elect me, and not only will those 28 pages of the commission report will become declassified and people's going to know, but of course there will be, I guess, some kind of moratorium or some kind of investigation to find out who's really behind the 9/11. Now, it's been leaked out that it seems to leak back to the Saudis, and that elements of within the highest level of our government was involved, along with other intelligent agencies from other countries I won't go into. So it sounds to me like, I mean, something of that magnitude may very well get him assassinated, because these are the same people that assassinated Kennedy, basically. The same elk.
Exactly. And if you understand, you know, you brought a very good topic up.
It would seem that he got them on the ropes. He got them very, very, I guess, fearful, if that's a word. But if they don't have any emotions, I don't really think they care less. They'll just do whatever they do. So it's like he basically said some things that none of the other candidates would even dare come close to. And that's what sets him apart from the rest. The fact that he's not a puppet on a string. He's not receiving funding from any special interests, no lobbies, no donors, or what have you. So I think that was what a lot of people are looking at. And he's not even a member of the bar.
You know what?
And the other thing is, beside Ben Carson, Trump is not a member of the bar. Or rather, let's just say that Trump and Carson are the only two individuals who are not members of the bar, but all the rest of them are.
Yeah, that's a good point too. But you know what? I'm gonna tell you why Trump he don't need no donation. And he ain't spending his own money. When you gotta understand how the money is, why they take donations is to pay their political parties, the workforce, to campaign for them. Like, they got all these salaries they got to pay, the people that put up the signs, they got to pay for advertisement. All this public stuff has to be paid for. Well, when you got somebody that's appointed to be a distraction, the Hearst industry owns the media, and they're right at the top with these controllers. They can just push a button and all the media will talk about nothing but Trump. The Hearst media can fabricate the numbers that they put in front of us. The Hearst media, Patty Hearst's father. If you remember Patty Hearst from the 70s, when, you know,
Oh yeah.
She come from a prominent family, went out there and robbed, and killed with the Black Panthers. She fell in love with one of them Panthers and joined forces. And then they slapped her on the wrist and they put the rest of them in jail for the rest of their lives or whatever.
Well, under the jail.
Some of them they killed, some of them they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying to you, the Hearst Entertainment owns the media. They own, if they don't own it all, they own 98% of the newspaper, radio, and TV. And under that hat comes all the different little titles like, Fox News and New York Times and all these other little, industries fall up under Hearst Industries, okay? So if he's part of their agenda, he ain't got to spend no money. So he don't need your donations. He don't need to spend his money. He don't need your donations because he is being highlighted and they're being told what to say and when to say and what to say, what, when, and how when it comes to Donald Trump. All you got to do is connect the dots. You don't have to be clueless to see this man is a front. If he really truly wanted to be president, Donald Trump ain't stupid. He know exactly what he's doing. And he's going to come out the victor in the situation. But he won't be president. Now, if he makes it to be the president, somebody definitely fix the darn thing. It is the numbers of people that I see that can't stand the man. They might have liked him at one time, but now they don't like him, or double digited and triple digited. So, I don't believe the polls and what they say in the numbers, because that's all politically ran by the owners of the media. They ain't really showing us that they're doing any counts of any ballots. They're not showing us where they're getting these numbers from. So they just throw a number out there, and 99% of the time, people believe what they say. They don't question where did it come from. How did you get to the count of it? Why is it that way? When, would you, okay, let me put it like this. I wouldn't want Donald Trump telling me how to go to the bathroom. I sure don't want him running my life or my country. And anybody that is in his favor, then they're on the same side of the sick, demented, bomb threat terrorist that goes around tearing down other people's countries for the resources of that country. See, I used to believe that we went to war because we were really at war with a country that threatened our freedom. I've come to learn through all the research I've done that that's not the case. We go to war and we finance both sides of the war so we can be at war for the resources of that country. We tear their country apart, and then when we win the war, we go in and we put it back together because we're going to be living on their soil, taking their resources from them.
You know what? That's the nature of a parasite.
It is. I agree with you. You used the perfect word. That's what we are. We're the terrorists. We're the parasites on the planet.
Yeah.
Well, not me, not you, but America as a whole. A handful of people represent all of American people. And it makes us look bad to know that we support going in other people's country, killing their children, killing their wives, killing their husbands for the resources of that land. That Iraq war was all about oil. I'm a lay person. I'm not the most brainiest individual, but it's common sense. You can see it was about the oil. And I believe, I don't know if I can't prove it, but it is what I choose to believe, that 9/11 was an inside American job. I don't blame
Oh,
no other
definitely
country.
was. Definitely was an inside job.
I don't blame no other country, no other people for the 9/11 situation. I have a right to believe what I want to believe, and I'm telling you, that's what's going on.
Hold on a second.
Excuse me
Somebody's
a
trying to
minute.
call me. Oh, somebody's trying
But
to call you?
yeah, someone was trying to call me on Skype. I forgot to put my Skype on do not disturb. I'm doing it now so it doesn't interrupt our hangout anymore. But yeah, if it's so many people, and I feel sorry for the people that lost loved ones in 9/11. But in the beginning, we were an emotionally disturbed country. Something happened on our soil that has never happened before.
Well,
And the whole
for one thing,
United States was upset.
remember the election was stolen when with starting with the Bushes.
Yes, yes. All of this is an agenda. This is the thing. When you say they stole the election, they rigged the election from what the people really chose. Okay, and Dan Quayle had to step down and walk away. But they gave him another agenda to do, which was another lie. They said, okay, you take this and you'll make money doing it, and let us, take the seat of the White House. And he stepped down and let them have it. And I'm telling you, this situation is so clear to see what they done, because all you gotta do is look at the ones that run up against them and where they were before they ran and where they are afterwards. Now he's trying to get away from this global warming situation because it's been proven it's a lie. Now he's trying to play that down. See, they gave him a lie to run with, and he made money. He wrote his book, he did his movie, and he made money. Now, because they are sick parasites, and they don't care about nobody, not even themselves, they turn around and defame him and do what they do, and the truth comes out. Now he's trying to distance himself from that. Because he ran with a lie. They gave him a lie and he ran with it. He ran the ball. He gave that 11 o'clock hour thing. And I'm telling you, it's just like Satan. That's what Satan does. He gives you something and then he takes it back from you because it's not his to give. If you want to learn what the truth is, all you got to do is keep living. God will show you. He will fix everything. I don't care how bad it gets. I will always believe God's going to turn it around. And when it's exposed, are you mature enough, spiritually mature enough to accept the lie you've been told? It's like children. We raise our kids. I didn't, but I was raised on the belief of Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and the Tooth Fairy. I have to laugh when I say that. And I was so angry with my mother. I was 6 years old. And I was so angry with her when I realized there ain't no tooth fairy. Well, who put the money under my pillow? Well, your daddy did, you know. And she thought, telling me the truth would set me free. It angered me that the first experience I received out of that was my parents will lie to me. Then when it came to Christmas, there's no Santa Claus? Well, who delivers my toys? I do. When you go to bed, me and your daddy put them together and we put them under the tree. When you wake up, we say Santa Claus. I was mad as heck. And I told my mother, you were wrong. I never let her, hey, listen, my mother died in 79. I was 28 years old. I told my mother to the day she died, you were wrong for telling me those lies because you are shaping and molding a child's mind. Well, when I started to have children, I decided before I ever had any children, I would never lie to my children. And I never have. When my kids ask, when they talk about Santa Claus coming, I'm like, Santa Claus already here. He's been here every day of your life. I'm Santa Claus. When they lose a tooth, I tell them, oh, great, you're going to get your Delph teeth now. I don't tell them about no damn tooth fairy coming to put nothing under their pillow. If they want $1, I'll give them $1. I raise my kids with the truth. I don't want them being mad at me like I was mad at my parents for telling me lies. And we got to really ask ourselves, is that what our controllers are doing to us, telling us what they think we need to hear to make us happy while they busy handling the truth? You know, I wonder how many people thought about that.
You know what is
That's
really...
the best analogy I can come up with to help people understand. We are lied to every day.
You know, it's interesting
and they
that
say it's good for us.
No, it's interesting that and that's in education as well. A lot of what we learn, you know, is just, it's just giving us a false illusion of reality so we can become better slaves, socio-economic slaves.
Exactly. I love the way you put it, because that's the truth in a nutshell. When you are woken up, when you become conscious of the world you live in and the lies that you live, and you begin to formulate your own belief for what you know, what you experience, what you receive, you can't go back to the lies. It's impossible to go back. If you do, you just choose to be dummy down and brain dead. But when you are woken up, there is such a freedom. Oh my God, there's such a freedom to being woken up. You know, at Christmas time is the best time of the year. I make so much money. My children, from the day they were born, we don't celebrate. You know, and then you have to do your research. We don't celebrate Christmas for what the world does, everybody else do. You know, we don't put a tree up. We don't, because there's a significance behind that, and it's satanic. We don't put lights up because there's a significance behind it. It's satanic. People are doing things because everybody else is doing it, not even understanding what they're doing. The tree represents fertility. Okay, what's that got to do with Jesus Christ? None. None. The lights represent something else. I don't have all that info, my notes in front of me, and I wish I did, because I didn't know we were going down this road. But this is another conversation we can have when I pull my notes out. And I can tell you this: all the significance of Christmas, as they have put it together, is a form of consumerism and Satanism. And most people don't even know that they're doing it. You know, Satan is a manipulator. He wants the same thing that God got. He wants his day just like God got his day. He was able to destroy the true religious day and got everybody, you know, worshiping God on the wrong day. God set down the laws as it is. Saturday is Sabbath, not Sunday. And I only know of one religion that's sticking to the truth, and that's the Seventh-day Adventists. They go to church on Saturday. Most people said, you know, they have a belief that Sunday is the better day to worship for convenience of the workforce. See, the first time I read that, I was like, what? That's crazy. Why would you be at convenience of the people and not of God? Not follow God's rules. So, you know, I choose to have Sabbath on Saturday because that is the true holy day that you give to God your undivided attention and worship. Satan loves that deception because you're praying on you're insinuating a day of the week that is not correctly prescribed by God, and it's a form of Satanism. This whole political system is Satan's system. It is the mark of the beast. Okay, as we know it. The churches have taught people to think that the mark of the beast is a man's number, but it's a government's number.
Well, actually,
the government.
Well, I'd like to interject on that, if you don't mind.
Okay.
And I think it's worth more of a discussion, perhaps at a later time. But it's been shown, maybe coincidence or maybe it's a distraction. But they refer to as the mark of the beast 666, having to do with 6 electrons, 6 protons, and 6 neutrons, something to do with the structure of an atom, and how and that it represents something that relates to life. Huh?
I've never heard that before. I've never heard that before, but I don't discredit what you say. Mm-hmm. I just need to look at the research of what you said to me.
Examine that. Yeah, we need to examine that.
And examine it, because, see, this is what most people need to do. We don't know what we don't know. And when someone shares something with you that is counter to what you know, especially if you don't know, just embrace it. Say, I will take that under advisement, and go do your research on it. I don't doubt, because you came very confident in what you shared, that you're not right. Now, what I was sharing with myself was in my spiritual path, I wanted to understand the number of man. And the churches teach the number of man is 666, when in fact, it's, for me, it's a system that controls the man. And what is that? Our government. But, even behind that, what you say, because the higher up you get, the more they deal with the very thing you just said, energy. They control us with energy. The protons and atoms and stuff is all part of energy. Energy flows where your focus goes. So if the number, the mark of the beast is the breakdown of our energy, you're absolutely right. I'm glad you shared that with me. That will be one of the things I look up today and do some research on. I go out researching stuff every day. Now, there's not a day go by where I learn something new.
Now, when I'm, I don't know for sure. Like it says, it has to be analyzed. But when you get down into this 666 structure, it goes into what the melanin is, or what is referred to as melanin, which gives us the pigmentation. And it has,
which also goes back to its chosen people are those of melanin. That's crazy.
And it's supposed and it has to do with carbon. That's the thing I wanted to say. It has to do with carbon. And like I said, we have
carbon.
Carbon.
Okay. Now, on a spiritual side of things, based on what you said, how does that fit into the teachings that is being taught today? Is it in alignment, or
I think what's happening is, again, a lot of things that goes out is getting twisted and convoluted deliberately, because the powers that be, or those who don't have our interests at heart, don't want us to be balanced, don't want us to have that level of comprehension. Because
because if you have it, they can control you.
Right. So in order to control people, you got to keep them dumb, ignorant, and blind.
Confused.
And dumb
it down. Because if you dumb it down and confuse, you don't know what you want. You can't stand on nothing.
See, I think what it comes down to, it's like it's the use of words. The term I would use is called fraudulent conveyance of language and linguistic witchcraft. It's a way that
Ah,
it's a way that they communicate to you information that is so distorted that it kind of like devalues you, because it's like it's typical of, like, for example, when a person, would call you out of your name and say, "What's up, dog?" and stuff like that. I mean, what are you actually
just
doing? Words have power to them, and you actually, it's like
I
words is
want the
being used. The words is being used to enslave. It's kind of like it's kind of like a matrix. You know,
uh-huh.
it's like this paradigm has been created specifically to bind up, you know, who we are as, it's like my mind is racing right now, and it's like
Gotcha.
information seems to be coming through and wants to get out, but it's like, it has to wait its turn. But
Right.
basically, it's like words is used as a tool, is a very wicked tool to keep us bound and gagged,
Mhm.
and without the ability to connect to our higher source. That's basically what it comes down to. But when you look at
I,
when you look at the atom, and you see like the 6 electrons, 6 protons, neutrons, then you start getting into, I think it starts to open up what this mark of the beast really is. But it's not.
mm-hmm.
But it's not what you think, because the market it's sort of like they're giving you a word, but actually it's the opposite. Because 666 is not the mark of the beast,
Mm-hmm.
as they say. But that's it, because you have to remember, a lot of the information that came from, the different scrolls from, whoever's hands hasn't been all
You know,
together.
well,
Huh?
the biggest form of mistranslation came back in the 1400s when Constantine ordered that the Bible be translated from Latin to English.
Well, remember, it wasn't.
And
Remember, during Constantine time, it wasn't even called the Bible. It was no Bible. They were just manuscripts or papyrus that.
right, scribes, right.
Yeah, you know.
And then it was formulated once it was translated into what they call now the Bible. The King
Right.
James Version is close as you can get to the original scrolls, but or scribes. I don't know how you pronounce the word, either scroll or
Actually,
scribe, but
it was ancient Kemetic papyrus scrolls. Most of the
right,
most of the
correct.
writings came from them, and after they finished transcribing, they destroyed them. So this way, people won't know where the origin of where they got their writings from.
Well, no, in France. Oh no, that's the Dead Sea Scrolls. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
The Dead Sea Scrolls are on view in France at this museum that you can go. You can't touch it, but you can view it. You
Mhm.
can't take pictures of it because they're afraid the flash will distort the works of it. And it's just little pieces that they put together of the Dead Sea Scrolls. It ain't even all there. They've only been able to save a portion of it. But what it does, it reveals, and it's in correlation to many of the original translations. That's why they say the closest you want to be to the original scribes or the dead is the King James version, and even it is watered down because Constantine had his input into the situation and didn't allow the monks to transcribe certain books were left out. The only book that stayed true based on the history that I've researched is Psalms. Psalms was the one book he never inputted his interpretation or whatever. And if you look at the book of Psalms, it's a book of prayers about how we feel toward each other and ourselves, our level of understanding of walking in faith. Um, and I find it strange that he didn't feel threatened by that because that's what gives us our power is our belief and our faith, and there's a higher source that's in control of us. But that was the one book that was allowed to be kept into the Bible, or the translations. I keep saying Bible, but the translations that he didn't put his input in. But a lot of the other books have, and he left out 5 as far as I know. I've read that there's many more that were left out, but they've been able to name 5 that was definitely left out. And then this is the part that is kind of alarming, is when they got into the making of the NIV and all the other Bibles. The word, a word can say something but may have 2 meanings. And it's how one interprets what they're reading. And everybody is not a reader. I mean, I personally, my retention span is greater when I hear it audio or video. Reading, I have to read it 2, 3, 4 times for me to really get an understanding what the writer is writing about. So with that said, he made sure, and our governmental systems made sure, that we pollute the spiritually inspired scribes of what was being laid down to us through man, for man. And so now it's very confusing. What is truth? I always go back to when Caesar asked Jesus, well, what is truth? And truth is something that we have to formulate ourselves, I believe. We each have a spiritual experience. And out of that spiritual experience, wisdom is given to each and every one of us in our own time with God. I know mine came to me through a spiritual experience, and I've experienced some things that most people would say you need to be locked up in the loony bin, because they could not believe that I experienced those experiences. I've had out-of-body experiences. I'll never forget the one on my wedding day. God was telling me, and I didn't listen, so I suffered the consequences of my choice. I didn't listen to what he told me, and if I had, I would have walked in that wedding and said, this wedding's not going to happen. Thank you all for coming, and have a good day, and left. But because I didn't listen, I ended up in a situation. I felt like I married the devil's son. And I hate to say it like that, but that's how I feel. I was living hell on earth. And this man had every intentions of destroying me and killing me if he could. Not my husband, but his father. So, sometimes we got to learn discernment. We get warnings in a spiritual manner that we can't believe is happening to us. So we keep moving in our own, of our own volition, and it destroys you. But it doesn't destroy you to the point you can't come back, because God is a merciful God. He picks you up in hopes that you got the lesson. If you don't get the lesson, you're going to repeat you're going to repeat it in another manner, in another circumstance, in another crisis. And I started to realize,
in another incarnation.
Exactly. And what I started to realize was God was working in my life before he was working in my life. I was not listening. And then when the most serious one came to me was the second one, when my son got murdered. When my son got murdered, that turned my whole life upside down, inside out. And I sat down and waited on God. I couldn't do nothing else, because if I had have allowed myself to go by my own strength, then I would have became bitter, angry, hateful, hurting other people. And I didn't want to do that. I had my God in my life long enough to know that I didn't want to go down that path. But it woke me up. It woke me up to let me know God got a plan for each and every one of us. And no matter what we going through, he got it. It might not be in our time, and might not be what we want, but he means the best for each and every one of us. And sometimes we just got to get out of his way and let it be his will. And I pray that every day. Because when I was taking charge, when I was at the helm, I kept falling. I kept going through circumstances and things that I could have avoided if I just was listening. It's funny how we come full circle on from the political arena to where we are in our conversation now, but that's God leading us in this talk, this conversation that maybe we're saying what someone needs to hear, whether they be on the live call or on the recorded call. And I'm grateful for that. I want the Holy Spirit to know, to take it back to God, to tell him, thank you for speaking for me, through me. With that said, Yeshua, I think I'm going to end this call, this live call. I want to thank anyone that came and listened to us. We had a few viewers that popped in and out. I'm looking at the viewer numbers. And we had, and someone will probably at some point listen to this call on my YouTube channel. With that said, please connect with me in Conversations with Deborah on Facebook. And I have a Google Plus page, Conversations with Deborah. And once you connect with me, I will keep you informed when we have more calls like this. If at any time you want to be on the panel, I always put up the, I was looking to see if anybody asked any questions, and I don't see any questions. If you want to be on the panel with me and whoever I'm having a conversation with, it may be Joshua again or whoever, just click the link and come on the panel. We can host up to 9 people, and the more people we get on the panel, the better the conversation will be. No one wants to talk alone. Kind of hard to talk alone. And I'm grateful for Joshua being willing to come today. Thank you very much for that, and host this show today with me. For those of you that thought I was going to do a business show, I apologize, because that's usually what my shows are about. I am still in business. And with that said, we will be hosting some business shows as well. But I want people to know that I am evolving. I am maturing and I am evolving. And where I am in my life right now, I'm very happy. And it's become a situation where business no longer takes precedence in my life. The Lord does. I'm putting him first. So you will find me speak of him on most of my shows now, because I choose to hope that people will learn something from my experience with the Lord and help you have a stronger experience with the Lord. And it's not no religion that I'm referring to. I am a spiritual being having a human experience. And I come from God, and I'm going back to God when this journey is over. So with that said, I want to thank everyone. Joshua, thank you for spending this hour and 30 minutes with me. I really, really, truly appreciate you for doing that. Do you have anything you'd like to end on the, like maybe you have something you want people to connect with you? Give them that information so they can connect with you.
Well, I just want to say thank you and welcome for the opportunity. And of course, the information that I would put out is, when they get a chance, is type in givemeliberty.org. That's one site. There's quite a few others I can't think of right now, but that's the main one. At least as a start, just to to network and to connect to people who are concerned with how our system is going and where we need to be. So that's it for me.
Well, Joshua, you get those links to me and I'll make sure that it goes into the YouTube description, because
Sure.
I think that the more people have the ability to connect with us, you never know. They might be listening and say, oh, I wish I could connect with that person.
Right.
And I don't have a problem putting your links in my description of this video, because you were a part of the show. And
also,
it's for us to be here for both of us.
Also, as an add-on, for those who are interested in what is referred to as full disclosure, I kind of give credit to Dr. Stephen Greer for that, for being on the internet and making a lot of information available to people, especially when they had the National Press Club back in 2000 prior to the 9/11 incident. And this is where we're sitting on a lot of technology that if it were in use, a lot of our problems would be solved as far as energy and transportation. But there are those who want to keep us in the dark ages, of course. But
Mhm.
so one of the other links would be cseti.org and disclosureproject.com.
Mhm. I'm connected with Stephen Greer. He is good.
Yeah.
I'm amazed at the things that he says are available to us as a people on the planet that the government has got. Uh, they're killing these doctors and scientists because they want to keep everything hidden. That's another show. We will definitely come back with another conversations with Deborah talk. And if you've got a topic you want us to talk about, I may not know what you want to know, but I guarantee you I can find the answers because the internet is full of answers. All you got to do is go looking for it. Everything you see, you don't have to believe, but it opens the horizon for you to consider that maybe what you living by ain't the world you really living in. With that said, everyone have a great day. Bye-bye.